Mad by beccaliz27. Chapter 5. Benedict. "You know, I cannot remember last time I had such a lovely afternoon," said Benedict as their carriage made its way back to Grosvenor Square. "Did you enjoy your 4 different ices?" asked Benedict as he glanced over at his brother, who was looking out of the carriage window. "I suppose so," replied Colin flatly. "Did you know that Penelope was going to be there, Benedict?" "Mother may have mentioned it," Benedict said casually. "Do you mind that she was there? I know that you two had a falling out after Lady Featherington's ball and the subsequent Lady Whistledown article." "Not at all. It was good to see her." Benedict smiled. He knew of his brother's friendship with Penelope and how much it meant to him. This past month had been horrible for his Colin, and he had first-hand view of how his brother was managing the loss of Penelope's friendship. Colin never wanted to turn down food, had barely even been eating. Benedict, in fact, thought the ices that they had just had in Gunter's was the only thing Colin had managed to eat in several days. It was also one of the first time that Colin had ventured out during the day since the unfortunate incident. "I have always thought Penelope to be quite pretty," said Benedict. If he noticed Colin narrowing his eyes, he paid no heed. "Her skin is so beautiful, like fine porcelain. Have you noticed, brother?" Colin's only response was a slight gruff and nod. "And her hair! Such a beautiful red. She looked quite fetching in her dress today. I wonder if she would let me paint her," pondered Benedict. Benedict could see that Colin was becoming more agitated by the minute. His hands were balled into fists, and his face was scarlet as he tried to remain his gentlemanly composure. "I need a drink," Colin said. It was then that the carriage stopped in front of their family home. Benedict followed him into the house, where Colin made his way to Anthony's study and poured himself a drink and sat in one of the armchairs by the fireplace. Benedict sat in the chair across from his brother and looked at him. Colin was a mess. It was Benedict's opinion that Colin was in love with Miss Featherington, but either he did not quite know it, or was not ready to give himself to it after what had happened with Maria Thompson. "What did you mean by your comments about Pen?" asked Colin suddenly. Benedict shrugged his shoulders nonchalantly. "I just thought that she looked pretty. She's always been. Though I think it's been hidden behind those hideous gowns her mother always puts her in. Although I do not think that will be any issue anymore," said Benedict as he helped himself to a drink. "And why is that?" "Because Mother just bought her a whole new wardrobe. Mamma was quite upset about the Lady Whistledown article. I believe this was her way of an apology to Penelope." Benedict looked to Colin and watched as he winced at his words. Serves him right, thought Benedict. "I should think that the gentlemen will be falling at her feet this time next week, once they see her in her new ball gown." "I say, did you know what a wit Penelope is?" "I do not think I have ever laughed so much," Colin growled. "Of course I know that. Pen was one of my dearest friends. I know how cutting her barbs can be." "I'm a fool, Benedict." "Who's a fool?" asked Anthony as he entered his study and found his brothers drinking his brandy. "Oh, help yourselves, brothers," said Anthony sarcastically before pouring himself a drink. "Who is a fool, then?" he said, looking between Colin and Benedict. "Colin is the fool," said Benedict. "What did he do now, Colin?" "I just miss her so much," replied Colin. Benedict could see that Colin was desperately trying to keep his tears at bay. Anthony looked at Benedict knowingly. "Miss Featherington?" asked Anthony. Colin simply nodded before taking another sip of his drink. "She is the smartest, wittiest and kindest person that I know, and I was cruel to her." Benedict shook his head at his brother. Colin was known as the charming brother. The brother who could quite possibly get away with murder just by smiling at someone in the right way. Benedict was actually proud of Penelope for not making this easy for Colin. Colin needs to realise that his actions have consequences. "Why even did you say it, Colin? If in fact Penelope is so dear to you?" Colin groaned. "I do not know. Fife was simply implying that Penelope and I were courting, and I just..." "What did Fife say to you? Why did what Fife say bother you? He is an absolute cad. You could have just told him that you and Penelope were friends and you thought of her as another sister. Instead, you insulted her and implied that she was not good enough to be courted. I hope you realise that you have ruined her chances of finding a suitable husband. Her family is also on the edge of ruin. It was badly done of you. I know what I said, Anthony. Believe me, it is all I can think about, spat Colin in reply, as he raked his hands through his hair. I have just always had this image in my mind of what my future wife would be like, and Penelope just does not line up to what I pictured. I'm a bastard, I know. What did you picture, brother? Asked Benedict, befuddled. Colin sighed. Someone intelligent, kind, loyal, funny. Forgive me, brother, but Penelope seems to be all of these attributes that you listed. Why would you not consider her? I do not know, replied Colin. I really don't. I think I know what Colin may be feeling, said Anthony, suddenly after remaining for several moments. Penelope is a wallflower, and is typically not noticed by other gentlemen. She is not the willowing, simpering lady we have all been taught is the epitome of beauty and grace. I think Colin wants a wife that other gentlemen will be jealous of, and Penelope is not that type. Do I have it correct, brother? Benedict was somewhat disgusted when his brother slowly nodded. Why do you even care what other gentlemen think? I just do, said Colin lamely. Benedict shook his head in confusion and paced in front of the fireplace before turning to his brother. I am trying to understand you, brother. All of the attributes that you find desirable in a wife can be found in Penelope. As you said, she is intelligent, witty, and kind. And I know that you find her pretty based on the way you were gazing at her today. Wait, when did you two see Penelope? Asked Anthony as he looked between his younger brothers. Mother, Eloise, Daphne, and Penelope all went to the Modiste. We met them there and accompanied them to Gunter's for some ices, he replied. Anthony scoffed. Thank you for the invite. Was Colin indeed staring at Penelope? Practically salivating. She did look quite becoming, Aunt, replied Benedict as Colin flushed in his chair. Anyway, back to my point. Penelope has all the qualities that you are looking for, and you are saying you would not even consider her because she is a shy wallflower and not a popular diamond, because you would not be the envy of your peers? Colin had the decency to look disgusted with himself at his brother's words, but Benedict continued on. Last season, if Daphne had not been the diamond of the season, then Miss Thompson most certainly would have been bestowed that title. Imagine if you had married her, Colin. You would have certainly uncovered her deceit early into the marriage. You would not have been fooled. Just because you marry the most beautiful woman in the season does mean that you would have to be happy. I dare say you would have been miserable married to a woman who had deceived you. I would not have been happy with her, Colin replied quietly. Do you realise that your thinking in regards of marriage and courting is flawed, Colin? Asked Anthony as he leaned against the mantel. When it comes to love and marriage, you cannot let anyone else's feelings or opinions manipulate or change your own. Colin let out an exaggerated sigh. I suppose you are right, brothers. I have been such a fool. I do not think I am in the right place to marry right now. There are still so many things I will wish to do and places I wish to travel. I think it wise for you to continue to travel and see the world and figure out what it is that you want, said Benedict as Colin stood to embrace his brother. Will you watch over Penelope for me while I leave for Albania? Make sure to ask her to dance. She pretends not to like to dance, but that is only because no one but myself even asks her. Asks Colin. Benedict chuckled. Of course, brother. I have a feeling, however, that Penelope will no longer be suffering from an empty dance card. Colin scowled. What does that even mean? Benedict and Anthony both smiled at their younger brother. Make sure that you do not stay away for too long, brother. I have a feeling that your wallflower is going to bloom. And with that, Benedict and Anthony left the study with a very confused Colin in their wake. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that. Oh boy, this is getting interesting. One thing I love about Bridgerton is the sheer amount of family dynamics. If you've been on my channel long enough, you know that I am a sucker for a good family dynamic, and there are so many different ones. Like Harry and the Weasleys in Harry Potter, or Encanto's Madrigals, and of course the Bridgertons, because there are 8 kids. I mean, sheesh, that's a lot of kids. And of course there are so many others as well, with Penelope being considered family. Oh boy. So what with Benedict constantly complimenting Penelope to make Colin upset, even though he does genuinely mean the compliments at the same time. Okay, I'm enjoying this. I like that idea. And then sort of like giving him basically an intervention. And I love that Anthony's just like, wait, you guys went and got ice cream and you had my brandy? Really? But then like he grows up and tells Colin off about his way of looking at women, because that was the way he used to look at women. Shows he's grown since he met Kate. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Bye!